Hello, and welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. Have you ever felt restless? Had trouble falling asleep? What is the cause of this imbalance? How can we learn to have a calm body and mind so that our inner world can be more balanced, focused, and reflective? Let's tune in to our guide Vivekji to learn about ways we can evolve our inner world so that we can reach liberation efficiently and effectively.
Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. With today's class, we will have completed 3/4 of this course in terms of classes and in terms of spaces. Now that you've experienced a lot about this course, about our pata, if we were to rewind back to August of 2021, when we started registration for this course, and suppose you were in charge of naming this course, what would you rename this course to? Share in the chat, based on your experience, what would you rename this course to be? You can share positively or negatively if you wish also. Waste of time. 100 steps to transformation. Mokshapata. A practical guide to the Sthita Prajna Lakshana. A joyful path to Bhagwan. Journey from self to selfless. Wow. You should be in charge of naming these courses. 100 steps to infinity. Who came up with that? One I was thinking about in a heavier sense is sadhana to sadhya. Sadhana means practices, and sadhya means perfection. 100 practices to perfection. And a lighter one would be hasta to hasana. Show me your hasta. Show me your hasana. I'd shared with all of you how important it is to engage in japa of a mantra, the meaningful repetition. When we reflect upon this, then the mind becomes free. And that's what we're doing in this course. So many of these words are connected, but not randomly. There's meaning to them. And we're reflecting on this to free our minds. Last week, we freed our minds a lot with many spaces. We started with 68, karma. In English, action. When one lives in an instinctive way, then they act. And what does that make them feel? Cranky. Whenever there's a lack of meaning in our lives, we feel more stress. What should we do? Don't live instinctively. Live intentionally. Then that goes from karma to karma yoga. And what will happen to us? We will feel cheerful. In our Upanishad course, the raw they've been given for 2 weeks is, don't be serious. And when one lives by karma yoga, that's so natural. You become more and more and more cheerful. After 24 weeks of class, have you become more cheerful? I see no enthusiasm from any student. So really, I'm teaching karma, not karma yoga, yes? 69, bhakti. In English, depending. In our scriptures on devotion, a very lovely and accurate thought is shared. When bhaktas interact with bhaktas, what do they discuss? Bhagwan. When bhaktas interact with bhaktas, they discuss Bhagwan. How many times did you discuss Bhagwan today? Bhagwan who? So either you're not interacting with bhaktas or you're not a bhakta. What's so practical about this is when we discuss Bhagwan, we're freeing ourselves of being self-absorbed. The typical person is self-absorbed. Everything revolves around themselves. That's why being with bhaktas is important. This will actually be one of your raws for this week, is for you to pray for others. Praying for others is a great practice in nurturing humility. 70, jnana. In English, insight. Some may think in Sanatana Dharma, there is an overemphasis of jnana, or knowledge. If you reflect on your actions, you only act after you know. When you cook, because you know a certain ingredient, you use that, correct? If you didn't know it, you wouldn't use it. All we do is preceded by insight. So if we do that for worldly matters, most definitely we need this for sacred matters. And this is powerfully shown in the Ramayana. In the beginning of the Ramayana, which three personalities shifted from the city to the jungle? And a further question, who was in the front? In the front was Bhagwan Rama. He is symbolic for jnana. Behind him, Bhagavati Sita, who is symbolic for bhakti. And behind her, Shri Lakshmana, who is symbolic for karma yoga. And the point I'm trying to make is that knowledge leads. All else follows. 71, viveka. In English, prioritization. Whenever we make decisions, we should make decisions based on the word maximum. Many of us have been studying that there's 3 conditions that are making us feel conditional. Those 3 are desha, kala, vastu, which in English means space, time, and matter. Think of it. When you are in a space where people are negative, doesn't that condition how natural you feel? Last night, I think it was last night, 2 nights ago, after our Upanishad class, then I had lots of work to do and I was just burning out. The time was just so heavy on me, I couldn't think properly. So are you all acknowledging that space, time, and matter conditions us? So now, in terms of decision-making, maximum happiness for maximum people for maximum time is the way to be less conditioned in terms of vastu. What matters? Happiness matters. In terms of space, it shouldn't just be this space, but more people, maximum people. And in terms of time, Not the short term, not the midterm, but the long term, maximum time. So whenever you have a decision to make, maximum. Is this maximum happiness for maximum people for maximum time? If yes, prioritize that. If no, deprioritize that. And 72, vairagya, independence. How many of you feel that independence is a word that describes you? How many of you feel this is your personality? By a show of hands, can I see? Okay. The hands that are up, I agree with, which is good. That means you're being self-reflective. For those who don't have their hands up, start in a small way, be independent in a minor way. And when you feel how comfortable this is, how this makes you secure, then you keep on becoming independent in bigger ways. You start with, let's say, financial independence. But then more deep than that is emotional independence, correct? And making sure this is practical. A way we can all be more independent is to be less concerned with if we are liked or disliked. Most teachers will share vairagya is to be without likes and dislikes, which is true, but the beginning of that starts with me being less concerned whether people dislike me or like me. Once I start in that beginner's way, then I can go to the advanced way of not even having likes and dislikes from my own self. I hope that was clear to everyone. Was it clear? Or should I go through that again? It was clear. So really I'm sharing, stop using social media. Social media is this elaborate game of being concerned about being disliked and being liked. That's why in terms of our social media, I delegate that. It's almost like a buffer, correct? That I don't identify with that. Try. We continue. Headspace 73. Though your pata or your map has shama, I'm switching it to dama. 73 is going to be dama. Is everyone aligned with that? That's me presuming you're actually following a map. I can say whatever we want. We're 92 now. And make up some sort of word. Oh, okay, let's start writing. 73 is dama. In English, calmness. Calmness. So engaging in some self-reflection. How many of you feel that calmness describes you? You are a calm person. Okay, the hands that are up, I thoroughly disagree. No. I'm glad that you're describing yourself as calm. This calmness relates to the body. To the body. If our bodies are not lifted up, in other words, if our bodies are not made good use of, then the natural tendency for the body is to fall. As in, for the body to be indulgent. If you don't use the body will use you. So far, so good. Now, I'll explain this in terms of a graphic. Whenever we study Vedanta, we're taught that there are 4 purusharthas, 4 purposes in life. What are they? Just give me the first letters of all 4. Share in the chat. That's right. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. I want you to visualize moksha is in the middle. Okay? And I want you to visualize kamas on the outside. And you have to get to the inside. So how? You follow the right path from kama to artha to dharma to moksha. Did you see that circle? You're going from the outside in. And why I'm presenting this as going in this clockwise direction, because this comes by using the body in the right way. And in this graphic, kama is on the outside, correct? Pleasure. We have to evolve from using this body for pleasure to possession to position to peace. So, how do we ensure that the body is being lifted? Like when you drove today, there were rails to make sure you don't fall into the ditch or off the bridge and so on. For our lives, these rails are called ethics. We should have a set of ethics that we will not allow the body to do this. Will not. Suppose it's eating. That for dessert, you will have one piece of cake. You will not have one cake. Ethics. Yes? See how these parameters encourage our willpower. Our willpower. This body is dumb in the sense that this body doesn't know anything. So it needs a power to use this in the right way. And experientially, the best way to nurture calmness is use this body to serve. We say, tan sab kuch tera, correct? This body is yours. On Monday, I donated my blood for the 40th time. And I was reflecting on how lucky I am that I'm able to do this, that every time I donate my blood, it's better for me. And of course, it's better for whoever's receiving that blood. And the nurse that was taking my blood was sharing how there's many people who come to this clinic who have donated hundreds of times. How in tune they are with using the body rather than being used by the body. Finally, you will know that you're practicing all of this when your body is encouraging your mind to become more balanced. Remember that word, balanced. Now we continue to 74, which is shama. Shama in English, quietude. Why is it hard for us to fall asleep at night? Share with me in the chat, why is it hard for us to fall asleep at night? Racing thoughts. Mind is distracted, too many thoughts, correct. Okay, you all know that. My next question is, we're inquiring more. Why do you have too many thoughts? Why are your thoughts racing? Past guilt, too much karma. Yes, yes. The technical answer is desires, as was shared. The more desires you have, the more thoughts you have. Thoughts are unconscious, they're indeliberate, they just flow. But for the person who's living intentionally, they have less thoughts and more thinking. Thinking is deliberate and conscious. It is directed, not just flowing. And what are they thinking about? That no article, no being, no circumstance is going to complete them. When you start to think like that, what happens to your desires? They start to become less, correct? Because what do we desire? We desire more articles, more circumstances, more beings. But if I start to think about it, all of these are changing. All of these are dependent. I desire them less. Less desires, less thoughts then, yes? Does it all make sense? If I told all of you right now, have no desires, how lasting will that be? It will not be lasting. So the practical approach to reducing our desires is to refine our desires, and specifically to desire nobility. Desire to be a noble personality. Tell me, what are some signs of nobility? Think of a noble person you know. Now, what are some of the qualities that they have? Share in the chat. They're selfless, humble, service-oriented, dependable. Yes, they're balanced. Keep going. Think lots about nobility. When we start to desire nobility, we start to feel more complete. You are more present in what you're doing because there's more meaning to that. And because of that, that experience is more complete. I'm going to digress shortly for a short period of time. In the waking state, when you have an experience that is not complete, suppose you're watching something and then you are called to do something else. You're really into the show, but then you have to tend to something else. So it's not complete. That incomplete experience stays with you to become your dreams. It may not be that night, it may be another night, and so on. But if you are present, then whatever you're doing, that's a complete experience. There's closure there. You won't carry that moving forward. There will not be emotional baggage. You just feel more complete. In summary, how will you know if you're nurturing Shama? The mind will become more focused. Dama helps my mind become more balanced, even though it's physical, but it's helping my mind to become more balanced. Shama helps my mind to become more focused. And the last headspace for this class, 75, uparama. Dama, Shama, uparama. In English, understanding. Understanding. When Dama and Shama are in place, this means that the body and mind are integrated. They've become a more powerful entity. And upon their integration, they now inhibit the intellect from escaping. The intellect keeps having these desires, these plans to be happy through articles, beings, and circumstances, like a volcano. But now the body is checked. It's united with the mind, which is checked too. Now the intellect can't escape. Everyone's seeing this awesome sign language that I'm showing you. What is the opposite of escaping? What is the opposite of escaping? Enduring, facing, yes, yes, yes. Embracing. The opposite of escaping. Like sometimes when I'll ask Vyasa or Shuka for a embrace, what did they do? They escape. So then I chase them down and embrace them then. What is embraced by the intellect? Our responsibilities. Desires are almost converted into dharma. We embrace our responsibilities with more energy because there's dama, with more enthusiasm because there's shama, and more empathy. When you think of your responsibilities, your primary responsibilities are not to articles and circumstances, but to beings, to empathize with beings. That's the understanding that I'm highlighting. And practicing all of this, one will know that they're nurturing uparama because the mind becomes more reflective. Good. Reflective. I've shared this completed puzzle many, many, many times. The evolution of the mind, the evolution of our inner world is to go from being reactive to being balanced, dama. From being distracted to being focused, shama. From being dull to being reflective, which is uparama. If your inner world is balanced, focused, and reflective, you will reach moksha efficiently and effectively. It's like driving in a brand new car. You have nothing to worry about. Final thought. Right now, the section of spaces we're in, we are in the middle of the sadhana chatushtaya. How many of you noticed that by a show of hands? Good. Defining this in English. Sadhana means disciplines. And chatushtaya means 4, a design of 4. So sadhana chatushtaya means disciplines that are in a framework of 4, okay? The first is viveka, which is prioritization. The second is vairagya, which is independence. The third is like a zip file. It contains 6. This is called the sampatti, inner wealth. The entire raw workbook is based on the sadhana chatushtaya, but focusing on the sampatti. So we are in the middle of this. The rest we will complete over 2 more classes. The sadhana chatushtaya can be interpreted from 2 levels. The higher level, the higher way to interpret this is these chatushtaya, these 4 are needed to engage in sadhana, are needed to engage in disciplines. That's the higher perspective. The lower perspective is sadhanas will help us develop this chatushtaya. So our disciplines will help us to nurture prioritization, independence, and so on. So depending on what you want from life, if you want a lower happiness in life, then develop these virtues. If you want a higher happiness in life, develop these virtues and then contemplate. The lower perspective will lead you to jnana. The higher perspective will lead you to dhyana. The last space in our moksha patha is moksha. So the lower is not enough. We are going to continue to move to the higher, to the highest.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.